Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. This video is going to be all about the compressors in Logic Pro. So I'm going to talk through each of the 7 compressor types, explain what they're good for, what hardware they're modeled after. At the end of the video, I'm going to compare each compressor in Logic to its third-party equivalent in either Waves or Slate Digital, so make sure you stay tuned for that. The first compressor on here is the Platinum Digital, and that's going to be just a basic, like standard clean compressor. It's like Logic's original compressor, like Logic's own compressor. It's good for a lot of things, but I actually find the response to be a little slow personally. I've put it on my whole mix here on my stereo out just to lightly compress the whole mix so you can kind of hear what it's doing. And this song I put together in about 15 seconds right before I filmed this video, so no judgment there. So here is the song without the compressor, and then I'll turn on the compressor and let you hear what it sounds like. So that's without the compressor. Turn it on. So super transparent compressor. It's really nice for instances where you want to gently compress something without hearing any compression. So if I was doing like a podcast or something, I might reach for this compressor instead, only because it's very transparent and easy to get clean results from. Again, if I wanted something kind of colored and a little more musical in that way, I wouldn't use this, but that's what it does. It often doesn't make it into my sessions, but it'll give you an idea. The next one is the Studio VCA. So this is modeled after like the Focusrite Red compressor. If you're familiar with that, I haven't gotten to use one personally, so I've just, this is the one for me. This compressor is also a little more on the transparent side, but it has a great response when you mess with the attack and release, and it's a really punchy sounding compressor. So I will play the whole mix again and turn this one on and off. A little bit more transient smack on this one when it's breaking through the attack on the compressor. Next is the Studio FET. This one's modeled after the good old 1176 compressor. I'm sure you've seen that in any studio if you've been to a studio, or it's just the classic blackface compressor. It sounds excellent for drums. It's big and punchy and kind of gritty. So I'll show you what that sounds like on the whole mix. It's compressing way too much. However, you can hear the power behind this compressor. This one's a favorite of mine. I definitely use it a lot. Not always the Logic one, but I have the Waves version, and there's also one in the Slate Virtual Mix Rack. Great compressor. You can put it on just about anything, and it sounds lively and gives it a good amount of character. The Classic VCA is next, and so this one is modeled after the DBX 160 compressor, and I don't have any emulations of that, any models, and I also hardly ever use this one. So we'll play around with it together and I'll give you some first thoughts on it. It's actually really punchy. I kind of like it. I like this. This is really fat and punchy and it sounds really good. I need to use it more. It'd probably go great on like a snare mic or, you know, the snare close mic. Definitely want to try that one out more. That sounds awesome. Next one is the Vintage VCA. This is my favorite one in Logic. One of my favorite ones. Probably a tie with the Vintage Opto. But the Vintage VCA is modeled after the SSL bus compressor. Again, Waves has one of those. Slate Digital has one. Lots of companies have a model of the SSL bus compressor. It's great, amazing for your whole mix. It's like that glue kind of sound. It's also really responsive on the attack and release controls, and you can do a lot with this compressor. Here's without it, and with it. Again, it's like gentle control over the entire mix, and it adds character and color, but it still lets those transients come through when you have the attack up enough. Excellent compressor. I love this one. Next is the Vintage FET. This is either modeled after the Silver 1176 or the Blue Stripe 1176. It has a similar response and character to the Studio FET, the regular 1176. It just has a little bit different response. So you can try both, go back and forth and see what you like better. So this is the Vintage FET. I'm going to toggle over to the Studio FET. Back to the Vintage. And off. So I can't exactly put my finger on what's different between the Studio and the Vintage FET. They both sound good, and they both sound a little different. So definitely toggle between the two, see what you like between those. They're great on anything that have transients, so like vocals, drums, even guitars or bass. You really can't go wrong with this compressor. Try it in different applications and see where you like it. Finally, we get to the Vintage Opto. This is based after the LA2A optical compressor. If you're not familiar with that, it only has two knobs. It's got gain and peak reduction. So you just turn up the gain till you're at unity if you want, or boosted, and then you turn down the peak reduction until you're compressing the amount you want. So the difference with using it in Logic is you have full like threshold ratio, attack and release controls. So you can actually dial it in further than you would be able to a regular LA2A compressor, which can be cool, but it's also, I like the magic of the LA2A because you just have the one knob and it sounds good. But here it is on the whole mix. So at this point, you've heard each of the compressors, you know a little bit more about what each one is like. So I've got an equivalent for most of them, and we'll go through and actually A/B between the one that's included in Logic and one that you have to pay extra, like a third-party one. First, just on my drums, I have the Vintage VCA, which is like the SSL bus compressor. So I'm using the Waves one here. And I'll get a sound dialed in on the first one and then put it over on the Waves one, let you hear the difference. So I've got ratio at 4:1, 2 dB of makeup gain, put that up to 3. Attack at 30, release at 100, threshold at -21. So we'll do that here too. I don't know where the threshold is here, but +3 on the makeup, 30, 100, 4:1. So here's Logic's. And then here is Waves. Back to Logic's. Waves. That's really close. I almost like the Logic one better. I was making sure the volumes were matched so that wasn't deceiving me, but that's really interesting. Logic almost sounds better than the Waves SSLComp right there. Okay, next I'm still on the drums, but this time I'm doing the Studio FET, and I've got the CLA76 from Waves as the comparison. So here's the Studio FET on Logic. You know what, I'm gonna drive this really hard, as if it was a parallel. Let's do 8:1. real strong and punchy. So let's try that over here on waves. Fast release, slow attack. All right, in, -12, out, right around -12. And gain reduction around 7 or 8. Perfect. So here's the CLA 76. Here's Logic. CLA. Logic. That's interesting. I think I like the CLA 76 better here. It has like some more top-end character to my ear. Let me know what you think. These two on the drums are really interesting. Next, we're going to move on to piano. And on the piano, I have the Studio VCA, the Focusrite one. And then I also have it in the virtual mix rack. All right, we'll do 3-to-1. Medium attack and release, around 3 dB. Turn that up a little bit. Okay, over to Slate Digitals. Around 3 dB. Logic. Slate. Those sound identical to me. I really can't hear a difference. That's impressive that Logic's holding its own against some Slate Digital stuff. Blue and or silver, whichever one you want to call it, 1176. And we'll try it on bass. Okay, compressing about 5 dB, so I'll set that up on the other one. It's pretty fast. In around -12. Out around -12. Okay, they're hitting about the same. Here's Logic. And waves. Logic. Waves. I like waves better there. It just sounds more hi-fi or something to me. I also think I liked the waves, the other 1176 better. So I definitely, my official ruling is that the CLA 76 beats Logic by just a hair. Okay, and we're going to do the LA2A. Here's Logic's. Compressing around 3 or 4 dB. A little bit of makeup gain. Okay, over to Slate. Okay, Logic. think I like the Logic better there too. Granted, I tried my best to make sure my volumes were really closely matched and my compressors were hitting the same way. Logic seemed to me like it had a lot more character. I hope this video was entertaining or informative to you. I definitely have been wanting to do this shootout myself for a while, and I'm glad I finally sat down and took the time to do it. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite compressor was that I used, or maybe you have one of these emulations by a different company that you really like. If you have any questions about the plugins in Logic, please feel free to ask in the comments. I'm happy to help out. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and please like and subscribe.